The sound cracked through the Naval Station Norfolk mess hall like a gunshot. A backhanded slap across the shoulder. "You're in my way," the seaman shouted. The woman stumbled, catching herself against an empty chair. Her tray clattered onto the table, food spilling as gasps rippled through the room. Conversations faltered. 500 personnel, sailors, marines, and contractors, froze. She didn't scream. She didn't swing back. She simply stood there, eyes closed for a beat, her breath sharp and fast as she fought for restraint. The man, a seaman with barely 8 months in service, laughed. It was a loud, ugly sound, emboldened by the silence of the crowd. His friends shifted uncomfortably, but no one moved to help. At a nearby table, someone muttered, "She should have watched where she was going." Others looked away, staring at their phones to avoid the escalation. The woman knelt slowly to pick up something that had slipped from her jacket during the hit. "You going to cry now?" the seaman taunted, looming over her. "Going to run to security?" She didn't answer. Her fingers closed around cold metal. As she lifted it, the harsh fluorescent lights caught the surface. Polished brass, worn smooth by years of service. It was a Navy SEAL trident. The laughter died mid-breath. The seaman's mouth hung open. A petty officer 2 tables away went rigid. Every sailor recognizes that insignia, the emblem that separates the ordinary from the elite. It isn't a souvenir. It's earned through training that breaks most in operations that never make the news. "Is that?" someone whispered. The room turned to ice. You don't carry a trident casually. If it fell from her pocket, the implication was heavy. She was the real thing. She rose slowly, the insignia cradled in her palm like something sacred. The seaman took 2 steps back, his face draining of color. I didn't," he stammered. Without a word, she clipped the trident back onto the inside of her jacket. Her movements were precise, guided by muscle memory. The mess hall doors swung open. A chief petty officer entered, scanning the room for a seat. He saw the spilled tray, the retreating seaman, and then he saw the woman's face. The chief stopped dead. His expression shifted from confusion to cold, hard fury. "Who touched her?" His voice cut through the air like a blade. No one spoke. The chief's eyes locked onto the seaman. "You," he said, his voice dropping to a dangerous growl. "Stay right there." The chief pulled out his phone. "This is Chief Bronson. I need MAs to the mess hall now. We have an incident involving a SEAL operator." The words SEAL operator rippled through the crowd like an electric current. The seaman's legs gave out, and he collapsed into his chair. "Oh God," he whispered. "I didn't know." "Didn't know what?" the chief snapped, moving closer. "Didn't know you shouldn't put your hands on someone? That assault is assault regardless of the uniform." "She wasn't in uniform," the seaman protested weakly. "You don't get a pass because you're stupid enough to think hitting someone is acceptable," the chief roared. Nearby, a petty officer stood at attention. Then another. Then a dozen more. They stood not because she asked, but because of what she represented. The woman glanced at them and gave a small shake of her head. A silent stand down. Military police arrived 3 minutes later. They approached with grim expressions, sensing the weight of the situation. "Ma'am," the master-at-arms said respectfully, "do you wish to press charges?" "That's not my decision," she said quietly. He assaulted a service member on a military installation. Follow protocol. As the MAs escorted the seaman out, his military career ended in the silence of the hall. The woman gathered her spilled tray, scraped the remnants into the trash, and walked back through the serving line. This time, the crowd parted like the Red Sea. Personnel stood as she passed. A Marine corporal snapped to attention. She offered small, quiet nods in acknowledgement. She found a seat alone in the corner. A lieutenant approached hesitantly to offer company, but she declined kindly. "I prefer quiet." 20 minutes later, she headed for the exit. The petty officer who had first recognized the trident caught up to her. "Ma'am," he said, his voice low with shame, "I should have stood up when it happened." I knew someone was being assaulted. She studied him for a moment. You're right. It should have been enough. What will you do differently next time? Stand up immediately, he replied. Wrong is wrong. Good, she said. Remember that. She stepped out into the evening air. As she walked toward her vehicle, her hand brushed the jacket where the trident was secured. She hadn't needed to pull rank, shout, or fight back. The truth had done the work for her. Honor was restored without a single raised voice. Just the sound of metal hitting tile and the world realizing what it had missed.